We might renew our vows with him wearing these.
Meghan Markle's publicity stunt trip to Chicago has just blown apart Prince Harry's UK security lie.
The cruelty of Meghan Markle simply knows no bounds, and we see this displayed in her recent trip, very quick, to Chicago.
Something unexpected just went down, and people are seriously raising eyebrows over it. Out of nowhere, Meghan Markle popped up in Chicago. And not for some flashy event or big public appearance. Nope. This was something way more low-key, almost personal to the point of being mysterious. No big announcement, no hype leading up to it, just one single image. And just like that, the internet started putting pieces together fast because this didn't feel like a random visit at all. Within hours, talk started spreading, moving from her usual carefully controlled image to whispers about something much deeper going on behind the scenes. Some even started hinting at major personal moves that could shake things up big time.
Holy name vibes today. Sailor, that's her daughter, in the front, walking to her first communion. And yep, that's exactly who you think it is to her right.
And if that already sounds intense, just wait, because the way this Chicago trip played out might be hiding way more than it shows. Let's break down what we actually know. Reports say Meghan flew solo to Chicago over the weekend. No Prince Harry, no big team, no obvious effort to grab attention. In fact, everything about this trip felt super quiet, almost too quiet. She reportedly showed up early to a ceremony at a well-known church, slipping in and sitting among everyone else like it was no big deal. No grand entrance, no spotlight, no special treatment at all. On the surface, it paints a very clear image. Someone trying to come across as down-to-earth, approachable, just another person in the crowd. But here's where things start to get a little strange. Because even though this visit looked private, it didn't stay that way for long. The moment everything shifted came straight from social media. A local TV personality casually posted a photo from the ceremony. Nothing dramatic, just a simple post. But in the background, Meghan, just sitting there.
Natalie Martinez, once the story had been picked up with the mainstream media, removed her post from social.
Later, it was said she was attending her godson's special day. The caption even hinted at surprise, like no one expected her to be there at all. And that's where the big question hits. If this was such a private moment, how did it go public so fast? And even more importantly, was it really supposed to stay private? Things got even more interesting right after that. As the photo started spreading, it didn't just stay in small online circles, it blew up fast. Major media outlets jumped on it almost instantly. Articles started dropping, details started coming out, and suddenly there were sources confirming everything. Where she went, why she showed up, how she acted during the ceremony. The story came together incredibly fast, almost too fast. And then, just like that, the original post vanished, deleted, gone. Right when the story was getting bigger and reaching more people. Now that raises a huge question. If this was just a random spontaneous post, why remove it? Why take down the very thing that brought attention to the whole situation? Some people think it's just coincidence. Others, not buying that at all. Because when you really look at the timing, the way it all unfolded, the quick media pickup, the sudden disappearance, it starts to feel less like an accident and more like something quietly guided.
Apparently it was her godson's first communion. If that's the case, why did her friend Natalie Martinez act like she didn't know Meghan would be there?
Not forced, not obvious, but nudged just enough to shape how people see it. And that image it creates, it's very specific. Not a global figure surrounded by non-stop attention, but someone who can step into a personal moment, sit quietly with others, and move through a major city without causing chaos. Because even with everything kept low-key, the world still found out, and fast. So now we're stuck looking at two clear possibilities. Either this really was a private visit that just accidentally got exposed, or it was a perfectly timed moment, designed to look natural while still landing exactly where it needed to land.
People thought this was a great thing that Meghan had made the rare solo trip and that she arrived early to Holy Name Cathedral without any special accommodations.
And if it's that second option, then Chicago wasn't just some random stop. It might have been the perfect setup. Once you start connecting this moment to everything happening around Meghan Markle right now, things start to feel way more intentional than they first seemed. This isn't just about one quiet ceremony in one city. It feels like part of something bigger. There are a few key details that really make this stand out. First, the timing. Meghan has been showing up more lately, but not in loud, chaotic ways. It's all controlled. Smaller appearances, carefully picked moments, the kind that spread easily online without looking staged. Second, the media tone has clearly shifted. Some outlets are now focusing on showing her as more relatable, more grounded, less distant, less controversial. That's not a small change, it's a noticeable pivot. And third, there's been more talk around her relationship with Prince Harry, especially that recent comment floating around about possibly renewing their vows. That kind of detail doesn't just pop up for no reason. Put all of that together, and suddenly Chicago doesn't feel random at all. It feels like part of a sequence, like one step in a bigger rollout.
The first communion of her godson, who we've never heard of before, but yet she won't go and see her father, her father-in-law, her nephews, her niece, her siblings. Like, she won't go see any of them, no matter what the cost is, but she's willing to go and attend this first communion, which I mean, it's a big deal within the Catholic faith, obviously, but I just don't think it was something that was necessary for her to do, given the distance. Everybody would understand why she wouldn't go.
Now look at how this situation actually unfolded, step by step, because this is where things get really clear. A photo shows up online, posted by a local TV personality who happened to be at the ceremony. Nothing fancy, just a casual post. But there she is, Meghan, sitting in the background. The caption even suggests her appearance caught people off guard, like no one expected her to be there. Simple enough, at first glance, but then things move fast. Within a short window, major media outlets jump on the story, and not just with basic info, they're dropping specifics, saying she traveled alone, attended her godson's ceremony, arrived early, sat with everyone else. No special treatment. That level of detail showing up so quickly? That's not typical. Usually when something is truly random or accidental, early reports are messy, unclear, incomplete, slowly building over time. But this, it came out polished, almost fully formed right away, which raises a serious question.
Why delete Natalie? Don't worry, I won't post your child, but this picture was found on X that you posted, starting to make me wonder that this was done specifically just to get PR for Meghan. Please tell me you didn't use your own child for another woman's game. It's quite sad if you did.
Were reporters really just working off that one photo? Or was there more behind the scenes? Because when stories come together that fast, it usually means there's extra input involved, most likely from people close enough to know exactly what happened. And that's where one phrase keeps popping up: source close to Meghan. That wording isn't random. In media, that usually means the information is coming from someone with direct knowledge. Not necessarily Meghan speaking herself, but definitely someone in her circle helping shape how the story gets told. And when you look at what those sources are highlighting, the message becomes super clear. Every report repeats the same points. She arrived early, didn't use a separate entrance, sat with everyone else, didn't ask for special treatment. That's not coincidence. Those details all push the same image. Someone blending in, moving normally, showing up without making it about status or attention. When multiple outlets keep repeating the exact same details, that's usually not random. It means those points were shared on purpose. It builds a very specific picture in people's minds, almost like everyone is being guided to see the same version of the story. But here's where things get a little tricky, because there's a clear contradiction popping up.
Soon as the article was posted, you deleted, starting to think that wasn't a coincidence. And of course it wasn't. Natalie Martinez is a journalist, a TV reporter. She knows how this game works. She specifically pointed out that it was Meghan in the picture with her child. So of course this was all planned.
For a long time, the public narrative around Meghan and Prince Harry has pushed one idea hard: that moving around freely isn't easy for them, that being seen can create complications, that everything needs planning, and that safety is always a big concern. That message has been repeated again and again, in interviews, public statements, and ongoing discussions. But then comes Chicago. And suddenly, the situation looks completely different. Meghan traveled from California to Chicago, showed up at an event in a public church, and stayed there without any visible issues at all. No reports of complications, no talk of heavy arrangements, no signs that anything unusual had to be done. Everything looks smooth from start to finish. And that creates a noticeable contrast between what's been said before and what people are seeing now. It doesn't cancel anything out completely, but it definitely raises some fair questions. If moving around is as complicated as it's been described, how did this trip look so easy? If certain places require extra precautions, Why didn't any of that show up here?
But let's just remember, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are claiming that they need guaranteed constant security protection from the British taxpayer because they are so under threat in the United Kingdom. And it is just impossible, given how famous they are and given their royal role, for them to travel around just like Meghan did. Not only coast to coast in America, but to really one of the most dangerous cities in the world.
Those questions don't come out of nowhere. They happen naturally when actions and messaging don't fully line up. And the location itself makes it even more interesting. Chicago isn't some quiet, controlled space. It's one of the biggest cities in the United States. Busy streets, constant movement, huge crowds. It's the kind of place where anything can happen at any moment. And yet Meghan was able to attend a ceremony there without instantly causing a massive scene.
She did this a week after King Charles and Queen Camilla left the United States. She is willing to travel halfway across the country to see the first communion of her godson, whom we've never heard of before, have no idea who it is, and yet will not make a trek to Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, or New York to ensure that King Charles can see his own grandchildren, and she is flaunting that.
At least not at first. That says something important. It suggests that under the right conditions, she can move around without major issues. There's a level of flexibility there that doesn't always match the more restricted image people have been used to hearing about. Then there's another detail that really stands out: the way the story kept evolving after that first post. The image spreads quickly. Media outlets jump in with detailed reports, and then suddenly, the original post disappears. That sequence matters a lot, because if the goal was to keep things private, the photo probably wouldn't have been posted in the first place. And if it was truly an accident, you'd expect a slower reaction, less structure, less immediate detail. But that's not what happened here. Instead, everything followed a very clear pattern. First, the image hits social media and sparks curiosity. Then, media outlets step in and expand the story with specific details. And finally, the original post gets removed. But by then, it's already too late. The story is everywhere. That kind of flow doesn't feel messy or random. It feels organized to break it down step by step, and it almost looks like a sequence playing out exactly as intended.
So unfortunately, while Meghan thinks that this briefing to People magazine makes her look cute and like one of us and very sort of low maintenance, something we know she isn't, by the way, but of course she's trying to do this to get some decent PR after the Australian disaster. But for me, actually, Brittany, what she doesn't realize is she's just literally thrown a grenade into Harry's claim about why he needs security.
Meghan arrives quietly in Chicago. A photo reveals her presence in a subtle way. Media outlets quickly fill in the gaps with context, and the original post disappears once the story has already taken off. And then comes the part that really pulls people in, the deletion. Because once that original post disappeared, it didn't calm things down. It actually made everything feel even more intriguing. When you put all these pieces together, a very clear image starts forming. Meghan is being shown as someone who can step into a personal moment without causing disruption, blend into a public space, and still spark massive attention.
It just highlights again how much she is denying and trying to distance herself from people who can hold her accountable, namely her family, and always going to friends who she can lean off of, she can grift off of, and they can grift off her, and it's a grift together, and it's just kind of pathetic and sad, and we all see through it.
Even from something that looks low-key on the surface. That's exactly why this Chicago trip stands out. Not because of the ceremony itself, but because of how it came out, how it spread, and how it fits into the bigger picture of her current public image. And when you connect it with everything else happening right now, the shift toward more casual appearances, the stronger focus on being relatable, and new talking points like the idea of renewing vows, it starts to look like more than just a one-off situation. It feels like part of a pattern where every appearance, every comment, every small moment in the media is adding to one specific image. Piece by piece, it builds something bigger. So now the real question isn't just what happened in Chicago, it's why now? Why did this happen in this exact way? And what could be coming next?
but she won't go to see her father, father-in-law, nephews, nieces, siblings. A decision like this shows Meghan Markle's true colours, I think. We haven't heard much about this godson, but she clearly has actual family she could care about and clearly doesn't. I find that sad.
Because when you follow the sequence closely, this doesn't feel random at all. It feels like the start of something more structured, something that's still unfolding. And this is where things take an even more unexpected turn. Because the conversation doesn't stop with Chicago, not even close. For a lot of people, that trip only became truly important after something else started making rounds online. A short clip, light, casual, nothing too serious at first glance. In it, Meghan is laughing, chatting, opening gifts, just having a normal moment. But then, she says something that instantly grabs attention. She hints at the idea of renewing vows with Prince Harry. It's said in a relaxed, almost joking way, but the reaction, not relaxed at all, because timing changes everything. Right now, every word, every appearance, every small comment is being looked at under a microscope. Nothing just passes by anymore. And the idea of renewing vows, that's not a throwaway line. That kind of statement is usually tied to something meaningful, reaffirming a relationship, starting fresh, reshaping how things are seen from the outside.
If Meghan had any security worries about the Philippines, well, your dad's in America now. Brittany, like, what's stopping you? You got on the plane to Chicago to go and, go and see this godson that we've never heard of at his Holy Communion. What's stopping you seeing your dad? Nothing.
So when that comment shows up alongside everything else happening, it starts to feel less like a random joke and more like something that fits right into a bigger picture. Over the past few months, people have been quietly speculating about where things stand between Meghan and Harry. They haven't been seen together as often. Their individual projects have taken more focus, and both seem to be building their own paths in the public eye. So when a comment like that suddenly appears, even in a playful tone, it naturally raises questions. Why bring that up now? Why introduce that idea at this exact moment? And here's another detail that makes it even more interesting: the setting where it happened. This wasn't a formal interview. No big stage, no scripted press moment. It happened during a relaxed interaction, surrounded by people, in an environment that felt natural, unscripted, almost off the cuff.
Yes, for the
Yes.
love of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, we might renew our vows
She
with him
hates
wearing
it.
these.
Yes.
Thank you. This is very meaningful.
And honestly, those casual moments, that's usually where the real story slips out. Because when something like that is said in a relaxed setting, it can go two ways. Either it's completely spontaneous, or it's carefully placed to feel spontaneous. And with how tightly public images are usually managed, a lot of people aren't convinced it's just random. At the same time, this moment didn't happen all by itself. It showed up alongside a whole series of appearances that feel very well-timed. Lately, Meghan has been popping up in more laid-back, approachable settings. Moments that highlight warmth, friendliness, and that easy-to-relate-to vibe. These are the kind of interactions that are perfect for today's online world. Easy to clip, easy to share, and quick to spread everywhere. And that matters a lot. Because right now, short, emotional, attention-grabbing clips travel way faster than formal interviews or carefully structured statements ever could.
A source also told people that Meghan arrived early to the church and waited with other families and friends in the pews. Oh, she's just like us, folks. And that she didn't use a separate entrance or have any special accommodations.
Take one example, her receiving gifts, reacting to them, laughing, trying things out. On the surface, it looks completely natural, like a genuine, sweet exchange. But when people watch more closely, some things start to feel a little off. The timing of the reactions, the pauses, the shifts in tone, small details, but noticeable. Some viewers say it feels awkward, others think it looks a bit too performed. And that split in reactions, that's important, because it shows that people aren't just watching anymore. They're analyzing, questioning, comparing everything to past moments. And this is where a bigger idea starts to come in: image adjustment. When public perception starts leaning negative, the response usually isn't direct or loud. It's more subtle, a gradual shift, a series of appearances that slowly reshape how someone is seen. Softer moments, more personal interactions, less distance. And in Meghan's case, that seems to mean more relaxed settings, more everyday style moments, more focus on being relatable instead of untouchable. But here's the challenge with that strategy: it has to feel consistent, because people remember.
Maybe on a normal day, Brittany, we could say, actually, good. She's realized she is just normal. But then it's like, what happened in terms of this local television celebrity posting the picture? Then the moment it's picked up by People magazine, Brittany, she deletes it. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not born yesterday. We know the stunts Sunshine Sachs, Meghan's PR company, pulls. It's like, let's get this organically on the internet. Then we can say that People magazine have picked it up via the post. I know how this game works. I used to play this game. We're not stupid.
They notice when the story changes, when the tone shifts, when behavior doesn't match what they saw before. And when those differences stand out, it doesn't always rebuild trust. Sometimes it does the exact opposite. It makes people stop and ask, which version is real? Now add in the bigger media landscape and things get even more intense. Coverage around Meghan has become seriously divided. Some outlets paint her in a positive light, highlighting independence, new projects, staying relevant in a fast-moving world. Others take a more critical angle, pointing out inconsistencies, questioning intentions, calling attention to moments that don't quite line up. And then there's the audience, because now people aren't just sitting back and watching. They're part of the story. They react, they discuss, they break things down, they share their own takes. In a way, they help shape the narrative just as much as the media does. That changes everything. It means every new appearance carries more weight than it used to. It's not just about what happens in that moment, it's about how it fits into the bigger picture. And right now, that bigger picture is still shifting. There's no single clear storyline dominating everything. Instead, there are multiple versions, multiple interpretations, all competing at the same time. Each one backed by different moments, different clips, different perspectives. And when you circle back to Chicago, that's exactly why that trip stands out so much. It's not just about what happened there, it's about how it feeds into all these different narratives at once and keeps the conversation going strong.
The security farce is exactly what you would think it is. It's a farce. Meghan doesn't want to see people who she either no longer finds useful or people she thinks are not going to go along with the grift anymore.
On its own, this could have easily passed as a simple, personal visit. Nothing major, nothing unusual. But once you line it up with everything else, the social media moment, the lightning-fast media coverage, that vow renewal comment, and the recent shift in how Meghan has been showing up publicly, it suddenly feels a lot bigger. Now it looks like part of a sequence. A chain of moments where each one builds on the last, each appearance adds another layer, and every comment opens up a new angle for people to talk about. And when you see it like that, it's hard to believe any of this is completely separate. Then comes the big question, what happens next? Because if this really is a shift in direction, it's probably not going to stop here. These kinds of changes usually unfold step by step. One appearance leads to another. One idea gets introduced, then slowly expanded. One narrative fades out while a new one takes over. And now that the idea of renewing vows has been mentioned, even casually, it puts that topic out there. It creates space for it to come back later, maybe in a bigger, more direct way. And if that does happen, it raises even more questions. Would it be something private or something shared publicly? Would it be framed as a deeply personal decision or presented as a meaningful symbolic moment? And how would it even be revealed? Because these days, how something is shared can matter just as much as what is being shared. At the same time, there are still big questions hanging over the Chicago trip itself. Why that location? Why that exact moment? And why did it come out the way it did? And why did it blow up so fast? Because even though the event itself was small, the reaction to it was anything but small, and that usually points to something deeper going on beneath the surface. It suggests that what people saw, that ceremony, that photo, that moment, might only be part of the story. The rest?
Well, it looks like Harry and Meghan can move around if they want to without anyone knowing, as this took place in Chicago.
Not fully hidden, but definitely not fully explained either. So when you step back and look at the full picture, the Chicago appearance doesn't feel like a one-time thing. It feels like a starting point. A moment that signals a shift, a new phase, a new direction, new possibilities opening up. And whether that leads to something as big as a public vow renewal or just continues shaping how Meghan is seen, one thing stands out clearly. This story isn't over, not even close. If anything, it feels like it's only just getting started.